The Pig family receives a mysterious invitation. Daddy Pig holds a red envelope while Mummy Pig worries about bills. Peppa and George play carelessly, unaware of their parents' financial troubles. Late at night, Daddy Pig secretly opens the envelope and finds a card with number 456. In the morning, Daddy announces a special trip to the family, promising to solve all problems. A black bus with tinted windows picks up the family. Peppa starts to worry. Arrival at a huge building where guards in pink jumpsuits with masks greet them. A large hall filled with hundreds of animal families, each holding a numbered card. A voice from speakers announces the rules. Welcome to the game. Only one family wins. First game, red light, green light. Peppa doesn't understand the seriousness of what's happening. Peppa notices that some friends don't return anymore. Susie looks frightened. Night in the communal dormitory. Peppa can't sleep from the sounds of other children crying. Second game, extracting shapes from sugar tile. Daddy Pig's hands tremble with tension. George cries while Mummy Pig tries to calm him, herself on the verge of breakdown. Peppa realizes this isn't a game. She sees fear in her parents' eyes. Third game, tug of war. Families are forced to play against each other. Susie coldly tells Peppa, "We're no longer friends. Only one family can survive." Peppa is shocked by her best friend's words. Childhood innocence is finally shattered. Fourth game, marble game. Daddy Pig is forced to play against Pedro Pony's father. Peppa screams in desperation, "I want to go home!" But there's no way out. Final game, squid game. Only the pig and sheep families remain. Peppa and Susie stand against each other in the final confrontation. Moment of choice. Peppa refuses to play against her friend despite the guards' threats. Peppa finds a way to unite all remaining participants against the system. Finale. Peppa exits the building, but she's no longer that innocent pig. Her eyes are full of understanding of the world's cruelty. A sunny morning at the playground where children happily play under their parents' watchful eyes. But Peppa on the swing looked thoughtful. Her smile seemed strained. Something had changed. She sat alone in the sandbox, her eyes empty. Her friend tried to talk to her, but she didn't react. Mummy Pig approached her worriedly, but Peppa pulled away. Her gaze was cold. At home during dinner, she didn't touch her food, silently staring into space. At night, Peppa stood by her room window, moonlight making her face pale and alien. In the morning, she descended the stairs with mechanical movements, walking past Mummy Pig. At school, Peppa sat at her desk, her gaze fixed on the window, where something dark flashed by. Her hand slowly drew strange, repetitive symbols on a piece of paper. Peppa showed the drawing to George, who recoiled in fear while she looked on emotionlessly. Her parents discussed her behavior. They were confused and scared. In her room, Peppa stood before a mirror. Her reflection looked distorted, eyes glowing red. She extended her hand towards the mirror, and a dark, clawed paw reached out from it. Peppa entered the mirror, and only emptiness remained behind her. Her parents rushed into the room, but she was gone. At the playground, the children played, but their faces were empty, their movements mechanical, and their laughter sounded unnatural. Susie Sheep looked directly, her eyes glowing red, and her smile stretched into a creepy grimace. The television screen showed static, which is distorted and flickers with strange patterns. A distorted, shadowy figure of Peppa with glowing red eyes emerged from the static on the screen. The distorted, shadowy figure of Peppa fully emerged from the television and stood in the dark room. The television screen once again showed static, distorted and flickering with strange patterns. family has breakfast at table. Good morning, Peppa. Peppa walks to school. La la la. Wonder what will happen today. Dark figure stands by school. Hello, Peppa. I'm Mr. Shadow. Peppa looks at stranger. Special? What does that mean? Mr. Shadow leans toward Peppa. It will be our little secret. Peppa sits thoughtful at table. Peppa, you seem strange today. Peppa turns away from Mummy. Everything's fine, just tired. Susie runs up to Peppa. Let's play our favorite games. Peppa looks coldly at friend. Find other friends, Susie. Susie cries. Peppa walks away. We're best friends. George wants to play with sister. Leave me alone, George. George cries in corner. Peppa doesn't want to play anymore. Parents talk in kitchen. What's happening to our Peppa? Mr. Shadow meets with Peppa. Only I know how special you are. Peppa sits alone in class. I have a real friend. Mummy enters Peppa's room. Talk to me. What's bothering you? Peppa turns sharply to Mummy. Nobody understands. Leave me alone. Mr. Shadow surrounds Peppa with shadows. They're pretending. Look how it really is. Peppa looks at false images. They don't really love me. Peppa comes home with dark aura. I know the truth about you. George offers toy to sister. I love you. Take my dinosaur. Peppa looks at toy. George. Children jump in puddles. George, look what a splash. Susie shows her phone to friend. I have 1,000 followers. The girl enviously looks at screen. So many likes. Elder daughter asks parents for tablet. I need a tablet for school. Mummy gives an old tablet. Only for studying. Agreed. She creates an account. Perfect Peppa. Perfect name. The girl is upset by few likes. Only 3 likes? She studies popular blogs. Need to write down secrets. George wants to play. Sister is busy with tablet. Elder one forces family to pose. This is for my blog. She edits photos at night. Now I look perfect. The girl enjoys morning likes. 20 likes, finally. She refuses birthday cake. Cake ruins my image. George is sad alone. Sister doesn't play anymore. Friends argue about likes. Why didn't you like? Parents worry about changes. What's wrong with our daughter? The girl doesn't recognize herself in mirror. Where's real me? She deletes happy photos. They're too ordinary. Likes drop on screen. Followers are leaving. The girl sits by broken tablet. Dreams are shattered. Family tries to hug daughter. She turns away silently. The girl watches playing children. I can't be happy. Close up of empty eyes. Childhood spark is gone. She's alone in darkness. Tablet goes out forever. Every morning in Piggyville begins the same way. The sun shines, birds sing, and the pig family enjoys a perfect breakfast. But today something was different. Little Peppa felt a slight tingling, as if something inside her was trying to wake up. At school, everything was on schedule. Lessons, games, lunch. Always the same, always perfect. Susie, why do you always laugh? He, he, he. In the evening, she felt even stranger. Her familiar world began to crumble. What a wonderful evening. Mummy, even George, he was just like everyone else. What's happening? In the attic, she found what she was looking for, fragments of the past. We were different, but the world didn't want her to remember. It wanted her to be just like everyone else. No, I don't want to. They were here, those who controlled this world. Resistance is futile. She surrendered, or she was forced. Everything is fine. Every morning in Piggyville begins the same way. The sun shines, birds sing, and the pig family enjoys a perfect breakfast. And so it will always be. In a perfect world where everything is in its place, In the evening, the pig family spends time together, but Peppa is completely absorbed in her smartphone. She lies in bed and the cold light of the screen illuminates her tired face. At school, she ignores her friends, preferring to communicate on her phone. At dinner, her gaze constantly shifts to her phone and she irritably answers her parents. At night, her smartphone screen begins to flicker, showing strange, distorted images. In the morning, she wakes up with red eyes and immediately reaches for her phone, where a strange message awaits her. At school, her phone vibrates and she sees a creepy image of her class. In the park, she sits completely absorbed in the screen, oblivious to her surroundings. At home, her face is distorted with fear as the phone shows a distorted video of her family. At night, the phone glows and empty eyes appear on the screen, while whispers turn into a chorus of voices. In the morning, she sits on the floor, phone pressed to her ear, whispering monotonously in response. Her parents try to take the phone from her, but she resists with unexpected strength. She runs out of the house, laughing a creepy, unnatural laugh. Peppa stops at the edge of a cliff, and her phone glows brighter, showing the abyss. She takes a step towards the cliff, but the phone falls from her hand and shatters, and her eyes clear for a moment. She recoils from the cliff, trembling, and begins to cry. Mama and Papa Pig sit in the living room, devastated, and George cries nearby. The camera slowly moves across Peppa's room where her old, broken phone lies. A close-up of the shattered phone screen from which a quiet, barely audible whisper emanates. The screen darkens, and the last thing seen is a barely discernible, distorted eye that slowly disappears. Children are playing happily in the garden. What a wonderful day for games, rejoices Peppa. Parents bring children a gift. We bought you something special, says Mummy Pig. Children put on VR headsets for the first time. Wow, this is incredible, admires George. Kids enthusiastically explore the virtual world. Here we can fly and create miracles, screams Peppa with delight. Children spend more and more time in the headsets. Parents worry and exchange glances. George starts speaking strangely. Object number 1 requires updating, he says mechanically. Peppa tries to talk to a brother. George, what's happening to you? She asks with concern. Susie becomes distant and cold. Virtual friends are better than real ones, she says emotionlessly. Children prefer holographic friends to living ones. Real toys remain forgotten. Parents try to take away the headsets. Children, enough! You're forgetting about reality, they plead. Kids resist and cling to the devices. No, don't take away our world, they scream in panic. Dr. Pixel appears in virtual space. Welcome to my digital empire, he greets the children. The villain explains his plan before screens with data. Soon all children will become part of my digital world, he gloats. Pedro dissolves into pixels before Peppa's eyes. Help, he's disappearing, screams the girl in horror. Susie is absorbed by the virtual world. Goodbye, Peppa. Now I'm digital, she whispers, disappearing. Peppa desperately resists digital tentacles. I don't want to become a program, she struggles. George transforms into a pixelated double. System updated. George no longer exists, pronounces the digital copy. Parents also become digital. What's happening to us? They ask, losing their physical form. Peppa remains alone among family holograms. Have I really lost everyone forever? She cries in emptiness. The girl begins to digitize. My hands, they're turning into pixels, she whispers in horror. Dr. Pixel absorbs Peppa into the virtual world. Welcome to eternity, little one, he triumphs. The whole family exists as digital copies. Silence, only code flickering in the void. Peppa wakes up in her bed. Good morning. What a beautiful day. Family has breakfast at the table. Mummy, what's for breakfast? Mummy stays silent, looks tired. Daddy reads newspaper, avoiding eye contact. Daddy, will you play with me? Daddy doesn't answer. Peppa tries to hug Mummy. Mummy, what's wrong? Mummy turns away. Close up on Mummy's belly. Mummy, why has your tummy gotten so big? George sits alone with toys. Dinosaur. Sad dinosaur. Nobody plays. Parents whisper in the kitchen. What should we do? The children mustn't know the truth. Peppa lies in bed at night. What are those sounds? Why is everyone acting strange? Daddy smokes in the garden at night. I can't cope. Everything's falling apart. Ambulance arrives at the house. Quickly, we need to get to the hospital. Children sit at Granny's house. Where are Mummy and Daddy? When will they come back? Children return home. What's this cot for? Who is it for? Mummy holds the newborn. Meet your little brother. Mummy cries. Peppa reaches out to parents. Mummy, play with me. Parents ignore her. George breaks toys in rage. Bad, everything's bad, nobody wants me. Peppa stands in the hallway. What's happening to our family? Why has everything changed? Mummy cries, holding the baby. He's so weak. I'm scared for him. Parents have serious conversation. We'll have to make a difficult decision. He might not survive. Peppa reaches for the baby. I'll help. I'll be a good sister. Parents shout at Peppa. Don't touch him. You've ruined everything. George's empty room. George, where are you? Window is open. Police officer questions the family. When did you last see the boy? George found in the forest. Voices. They spoke to me. They know the truth. Mummy looks at Peppa with empty eyes. You're no longer my daughter. You destroyed everything.